Good evening, everyone. I meant to do this at school, but was still struggling with the mirroring problem, and I was not able to photograph things, so I wanted to take some time tonight just to show you something I talked with the kids about today. We called it 7+1 studying. Chapter 3's Native American Studies is going over 7 different regions that the Native Americans lived in the United States. And we have 8 days till the test. So the reason we call it 7+1, what I told the kids today was, you have 7 days plus one extra one with 7 regions. Take one region a night and just focus on that region. And then that extra one is the night before the test where you go back through and you review all of it. So I'm going to show you some of the things I did with them today so that you can help them study, and also to make you aware, I've shown them some ways they can do this on their own as well. So right now, first I'd like to show you an example of the tree we were working on today. So I'm going to pause for a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, that first picture you saw there, and feel free to go back and pause on them. That's the beauty of YouTube. You don't have to stay in one part of the video. Is the key I gave the kids for when they were working with their trees. They are completing that assignment. That's why you didn't see a complete tree there. We modeled what I expected. They have done these trees before. And I'll explain to you in a moment what was expected of it because they are due tomorrow. But that key is there to help the kids organize their tree so that there is a specific order to everything that's put on the tree. So we should have a cultural region, followed by a tribe, or rather the tribes from that lesson and that region. Following that should be then the 3 artifacts that we talked about for that region, and they are in this order. There's a shelter. We didn't always have a proper name for the shelter, so there might be a short description. For example, in the plateau, it was just described as an underground home with a grass roof, so I told the kids right in, underground home, grass roof. Their descriptions should be in these notes. Okay, and we've been taking these now, guys, for weeks. The kids have had ample opportunity to complete these now, including extra time in class if they had not gotten them. And of course we have the East Coast there, and then the other half here is the West Coast. So this is what you should be looking for as far as their notes. The reason we did the tree was because the tree took out the key terms from the notes, so that if you want to help them study, what you'll do is you can take this tree that we are making, and for example, if tonight you're studying the Northwest Coastal Indians, which hopefully you can see there, that's the order we did them in, that as the parent, all you have to really do then is read that key term to them and ask them to explain it. You can then look into their notes, which should be in a yellow construction paper notebook. They should have these. A couple of them have said they have lost them, but I told them, I said, you know what, you need to find them or we're just going to have to rebuild this. Because they're supposed to be carrying this with them all the time. And honestly, you just had it there, so if you want to freeze it so you can look at it, you can do that as well. But this is just to make it easier for you so you can pick out the terms that you know are going to be important. And the kids are going to be writing these down. We're going to be checking them tomorrow that they have them. For example, tonight with the Northwest Coastal, you might say to your child, okay, well, you know what? Mr. V said 1 region a night for 7 nights. That's the 7 part of the 7+1 study. Focus on that. So if, for example, you ask them, okay, we know this is the shelter because we saw that when we looked at the key, okay? I apologize, I keep peeking around, but I can't see what you're seeing. We know that's the shelter, so you can ask some questions. For example, what kind of shelter did they have in the northwest coastal region? And hopefully your child should respond, well, they had long houses, which they call plank houses. Okay, well, that allows you to know, yep, okay, good enough they have the term. They recognized long house and a plank house. Then you can look over into their notes, or if you want to freeze this one right now, hopefully it won't go out of focus. You can look into their notes and say, okay, I see plank house here. And oh, yeah, explain to me what a plank house is. It's not enough just to know it was a plank house. What was it? What did they use it for? How was it an adaptation to the environment that the coastal Indians were living in the Northwest? And hopefully they'll respond, okay, well, they were homes that were 20 to 200 feet long. They used wood planks from the cedar trees that were around them, and multiple families lived in them. Okay, that they get this idea of this is what was going on with this culture. Okay, so that is what they're doing as far as how you can help them. And each night, if you want to move right across their sheet, tomorrow night, what I had the kids do, at least in my class, and if you're from another class, we didn't quite get to this point today, but they can do it. I had them put a 31 over top of the first one, and I just had them number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the days of the next 7 days. To remind them, okay, today's the 3rd, then I should be doing whatever my 4th one is. In my case, that was the California Intermountain region. Now, if you aren't able to spend some time with them on studying that, that's okay too, because I showed all 3 classes how they can take this paper and roll it up. And I think I can do this on the camera. No, maybe not. Well, this is a trick and a half. I can't do it when I'm looking at the back. Okay, there we go. That they can roll this up, and now they can challenge themselves. Okay, can I name all 7 regions? Can I say Northwest, Plateau, Southwest, California Intermountain, Great Plains, Northeast, and Southeast? And then they can just pull it down, and there they go. There they are on the tree. They can check them. And then they can say, okay, now taking one of these regions, I know the next thing should be tribes. Can I go across each one of these and check their tribes? So, for example, were this complete, and theirs should be tomorrow, they should be able to say, okay, Southeast. I know there are 3 tribes in the Southeast that we talked about, and 3 examples are the Choctaw, the Seminole, and the Creek. And then they should be able to roll it down and check that. If they were doing the they're doing the Northwest, of course, and that's where my hand is, sorry. They would then see these 3. And so they can do this check themselves, keeping their notes off to the side so that then they can ask the harder questions and check it against their notes. What I told them to do was, as they went along, they could use this tree chart, or tree map, excuse me, as a check-off as well for how they're doing. If you notice, and I'm still getting used to the left and right here, sorry, next to long houses, there's a little star. One of the students today in each class, we were talking about these, and I told them, you know, if you do the long houses, and mom and dad or you know what this is, you're able to name which tribe it went, or which region it went with. You were able to explain to me what a plank house was. You really feel you have that down well. Put a little star next to it. If, on the other hand, you read through there and you go, oh man, cedar bark clothing, I think they wore real cedar bark. Well, no, if you look at the notes, what they were doing, they were peeling the back of the bark away and making thread out of it, essentially, to make their clothing out of the bark. Well, then I don't quite get it yet, so I'm going to put a little check mark next to that, which tells me I need to go back and check myself on this. As I go through the week and I move across, I'm going to look at those checks, because those checks are the ones that I need to go back to, or especially on that night before the test, those are the ones I really need to spend the time on. Okay? Alrighty. I'm going to do a very slow look at each one again, just for the parents who, I know, guys, sometimes their writing is Not always the easiest to read, and they know it too. So we're going to just quickly, and hopefully it'll focus enough that you can catch these. In red there, we have the eastern woodlands. In black, we have the Great Plains. And again, you can pause. In black on... Get your hand out of there, Mr. V. In black on the bottom, you can see the southeast. There's the second half of the southwest right there. We'll see the other half of it when I flip the page. Up in the top corner here in red, we have our Plateau Indians, the Northwest Coastal, and finally the Southwest, or California Intermountain region, excuse me, and then the other half of the Southwest, which is a little harder to read in the pencil, so I'll hold it a little closer. And hopefully you were able to pause and take a good look at those. Okay, guys, so that's 7 plus 1. Don't forget that you can go to History Alive. If you just Google History Alive tutorial, the first one that comes up in Google is the practice tests for Chapter 3. They are great. Just remember, don't hurry through them. Make sure you stop and read the ones you miss, because if you miss it, that's really telling you, yeah, I need to go back and study that again. All right, guys. One of our bigger tests because we've spent a lot of time on it. We'll talk to you later. Hope you have a good evening and hope everyone had a safe Halloween. I will see you tomorrow.